Hello everybody and welcome to episode 8 of the Two Footed Tackle podcast. I'm your host, Aris Thematakos, and I hope you're all doing well. I hope the week has treated you well. A lot of footballing things happened since the last time we spoke, but before we get into those, I ask you all to subscribe on YouTube, give it a like the podcast on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, the whole lot, and Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast. I think that's it. I think I've got it all. I think I've got it all done. But yeah, give it as much love as you possibly can. It means the world. And yeah, any engagement is really, really appreciated. It was another interesting week of football. Obviously, Champions League returned, so we'll talk about that, as well as Europa League, of course. Premier League, a lot of things happened there. A lot of games. The A-League as well. Some touchy things as well. So a lot to get through. We'll try and get through it all in a reasonable time. But we'll start, as we always start, down under, and we'll work from, like, in chronological order. So we'll go from the week and progress down to the last game of the weekend. So Adelaide 2, Melbourne City 1. Not a lot to comment apart from a poor Carl Jenkinson back pass to allow Adelaide the last minute, or late win. I think it was about the 87th minute. I think he's been fine, Jenkinson. I'm not sure this is too much to worry about for him. It's not something that they need to worry about in terms of his performances. It's just a bit ironic that he was the man that had to cost them the point. Wellington 3, Brisbane 0. Again, not a lot to comment on that. Western Sydney Wanderers 2, Melbourne Victory 0. As a Victory supporter, I was very worried after this game, but as we'll touch on, it all got fixed on a beautiful Saturday night. Melbourne City 3, Newcastle 0. That was a pretty stock standard performance from a City side that needed to bounce back, and they did. Wellington 1, Sydney 1. I'm pretty sure that was a game in absolutely torrential rain. I think I'm right in saying that. So I'm not really sure a lot can be said about that. Macarthur 4, Adelaide 1. I heard that Adelaide just stopped playing football. I think that's probably the best way to describe it. They're not having the best season, which is surprising because they have a lot of talent, but it's just they haven't really hit their stripes this season, which is unfortunate because they're one of the bigger clubs in the league, and you want to see them do well. And probably the feature game of the weekend, well, for me, and I know it's biased because I always talk about Victory, but they're the only game. The Victory games are the only games I watch every single week without fail. So apologies if you don't want me to speak about it too in-depthly, but Victory 1, Central Coast 0, an incredibly frustrating game. So many disallowed goals, but it was a Nishan Falupale last-minute winner to secure all 3 much-needed points for Melbourne Victory, because I was getting worried there for a second. I thought that we might not have gotten out of the hole that we're in for the past 2 seasons, but we got there in the end, which was good. And I just want to have a little bit of a moan, so spare me. But it was going to be the who went in 2-footed this week, but I thought let's not do it because we've spoken about it to death pretty much in every podcast. VAR for Jake Brimmer's goal. Now, for those who didn't see it, it was about what? Like in the first half, Jake Brimmer scores a goal for Melbourne Victory. Clearly offside. Clearly offside. I'm not really sure it needed 1 look, 2 at the absolute maximum, and then offside. You saw it within 30 seconds. It was offside. The VAR took 4 minutes to decipher whether or not it was offside. That is A, too long, and B, just ruining the game, because it just takes away all momentum. It takes away all flow that the game has, and for something so obvious, everyone go and seek it out on YouTube. It will be there, I'm pretty sure. It was the most obvious offside call I think I've ever seen, and it took 4 minutes. And 4 minutes might not sound a long time, but when you're standing around doing precisely nothing, 4 minutes is a long time. And it was more frustrating because of the obvious nature of the decision. It was clearly offside, and it took 4 minutes. But anyway, I mean, I can't really complain too much. We did win the game, but it would have been... And also, there was like a very little stoppage time added on because of that. I think there was 4 minutes exactly, and there was another disallowed goal in the first half. Anyway, I mean, football is all over the place. And I want to speak about the crowd. It looked... Obviously, the North Terrace was bouncing, as always, as it always is, and as it always will be. But the crowd seemed to be a little bit disappointing. I'm not too sure on the exact figures, but it's a bit concerning. Just a little bit concerning, because we can't really use COVID as an excuse anymore. It's been a while since we had that like big outbreak. Pretty much everyone in Melbourne has tested positive. I'm one of the lucky ones. I haven't suffered yet, but surely not. Surely it's beyond the point where, granted, it's still a factor, because it will never not be a factor until there's 0 cases for 3 years, right? It will never not be a factor in terms of people are wary about catching something, because it's on a Saturday night. If you have a big event like on the Monday, for example, you don't want to go risk catching it and then missing that event. So I understand that point of view, but it's been a while and we're pretty much all vaccinated, and I think we should stop using it as an excuse and really start looking at the real problem about the crowds in this country, because it's not a good look for like domestic football. Obviously, when the Socceroos are playing, packed out stadium nearly every time, right? But talking about the A-League specifically. And also, Jason Cummings' post-match interview was absolutely brilliant. For those who didn't see it, he basically called out Channel 10 for stopping the game for commercials, which finally someone said it. Like someone that has like a glimmer of power actually says what we're all thinking. But yeah, good, because like they needed to do that, or he needed to do that. Someone needed to do that, because it's a joke. Anyway, let's move on. Perth 2, Brisbane 0. Pretty much another Bruno Fornaroli scored a couple. Your standard stuff. Good. I want to see Perth do well this season because they've been royally stuffed over, and also I want to see Daniel Sturridge score goals and score a lot of them. He hasn't. I don't think he started a game for them this season, but he really can't wait till he starts scoring. It's gonna be great. And then the last game of the weekend, Western United 3, Western Sydney 2. Very exciting game, this one, and it featured a scorpion kick from Ben Garuccio. Now, we all remember that infamous Riley McGree scorpion kick. It wasn't quite as good. It was more of a think Mkhitaryan for United all those years back. I think it might have been 2016, I think. Think that. It's similar to that. Not quite the Riley McGree from outside the box looping Dane Bazanis, but it was a pretty tidy finish, and I was shocked when I saw that, because I was like, it really came out of nowhere, because the game was pretty much fizzling out, and yeah, it just bang, goal, really really cleanly taken goal. I'm not really sure he meant it. I mean, I'm not really sure any people mean to score a scorpion kick. They just kind of flick their leg out. And even Riley McGree didn't mean to score that scorpion kick. Olivier Giroud definitely didn't mean that. Mkhitaryan probably didn't mean that either. It's very rare that you say a scorpion kick meant and it actually happening. But there you go. That leaves Western United 1 point clear with the game in hand. At the top of the table. The league's still very much in the balance. Of course, with finals, it's always in the balance, but yeah, it's still very early on in the season. Some teams having hit form, some teams having a dip in form. So I think in 2 months' time we'll see or maybe even a month's time, we'll see a real defined top 6, top 7 that will fight for finals, and it's going to be interesting to see. Now, moving on, as we always do. I think you all pretty much know the pattern by now. The Premier League. Now, there was a lot of fucking Premier League games, so excuse me language, but there was a lot. So we need to get through them. Starting as we did with the A-League, through chronological order. Manchester United 2, Brighton 0. Much needed win for Man United. It was a game, potential banana skin game, in my opinion, because Brighton do play good football, and they can take it to the best teams. They drew against Chelsea away, so I mean, I know Chelsea aren't that good anymore, but they have the ability to really just perform, and Graham Potter has been playing really good football at times, but United got the job done, and I did say I think they would, and yeah, they needed to, and they did, which shows character and shows a bit of like resolve in that team. West Ham 1, Newcastle 1. Very spicy game, this one. I enjoyed watching this one. This was good fun to watch. West Ham and Newcastle are very, very similar clubs, in my opinion. They have this like storied history, passionate fans, big stadiums, and they've somewhat underperformed. Like, I mean, West Ham have underperformed. Well, since that 2015-16 season where they finished 6th, I think. Until last year, they had underperformed, and they could have gone down multiple times. And Newcastle, we all know the story of Newcastle since bloody Sir Bobby Robson in the 90s, right? They haven't really done anything. And even like Kevin Keegan, like they haven't done anything since then. And West Ham obviously fit and firing, they're battling top 4, and Newcastle will be there soon. And it's good to see the historic clubs of English football be up there, because it's what you want to see. It's what you want to watch. You want to watch big games at big stadiums, and it's good for the league. It's good for the richness in terms of the integrity of the league. Yeah, so that was good fun to watch. Arsenal 2, Brentford 1. Arsenal were just playing really efficient football. Nothing much to say about them. They probably should have won 2-0, but it was a 96th minute goal from Brentford, so they weren't really in too much danger. And Brentford are in a little bit of a hole. I don't think they've won in about 12 matches, I want to say, in the league. Something like that. It's, or maybe not 12, but it's near on that number. They've drawn once in about 3 months, and the rest are losses. So it's tough for Brentford, and I know injuries have killed them, but it's one of those things where they are precariously close to just falling off the edge and going down, and it's going to be tough because they played such good football at the start of the season, and they were really exciting. We all remember the reverse fixture of Arsenal-Brentford, that 2-0 at the first game of the season. We just want to see that a little bit more, and Ivan Toney really hasn't hit his stripes. Sergi Canos has been inconsistent. Like, there's just no one there that's going to take the game by the scruff of the neck and really drag them out of this hole that they're in. But they're still relatively safe at the moment. So if they can get some continuity and some consistency and just some effectiveness in their play. Like, they don't need to be pretty anymore. They don't need to play attractive football. They just need to win, because they haven't won in a long time. So, yeah. Watford 1, Villa 0. This shocked me because I really like the way Aston Villa are playing, and I think Villa fans are slowly turning on Gerrard, which is something really weird to say. Maybe not turning on him, because it is, like, still early on, like he's been in the job a matter of months, right? But they're just something, from what I've read that Villa fans are saying and what I've heard, that he's struggling to find that system. Like, he's struggling to find that thing to click the side, and it's really hurting them. You can tell it's hurting them, because you shouldn't be losing to Watford. It just shouldn't be happening. But yeah, Watford, I think they'll go down. I just don't. Roy Hodgson, right? How is he still in the job is beyond me, but I just don't think he has it. I don't think he has the minerals. I don't know. It's based off the fact that I think Everton, Newcastle, Brentford, Leeds are just too good. Are just better than Watford, Burnley, Norwich. So that's why I say that those three will go down. Moving on to... We'll do Liverpool Norwich first because it was stock standard performance, nothing really to say. Obviously Norwich did take the lead, and Norwich had some chances to they could have taken the lead before half time, but they took the lead just after half time, then Liverpool just turned it on as they always do and won pretty comfortably. We'll go. I don't want to speak about it. We'll go to my team, Chelsea, and it's weird. We won 1-0, and yet I still don't want to speak about them. And I've written here, unless Chelsea play Tottenham, we don't play well. It's weird. It's really weird supporting Chelsea at the moment because we're champions of Europe, we're champions of the world. We were in a League Cup final. We were in the round 16 of the Champions League. We're still in the FA Cup. And yet, I just don't have confidence at all. Like, at all. I went into this game against Palace thinking, fuck, if we can get a draw, that'd be good. We don't have anything to fight for because we pretty much secured our place in top 4. It's going to take some bottle job to not make it, and the league is out of reach. Yeah, and I want to speak on this man, Romelu Lukaku. Now, Lukaku is one of the more interesting signings in Premier League history because he has viscerally and profoundly underperformed for about 5 months, and costing £100 million, it's beyond a joke at this point. Like, it's beyond the point where we say, he's still acclimatising to the league, or he needs to settle in. It's been like the best part of half a season. He's shown that he can score goals, and he's now just not doing it. Ever since that interview, and we all know what interview I'm talking about, he's turned to shit, and he needs to go because he's borderline a liability. He had 7 touches in the whole match. That's the lowest in Premier League history from any player. He's appalling, and for a Chelsea striker, it's not good enough. And we saw last season how good Chelsea were playing this fluid, like Werner, Havertz, Mount, Pulisic, Ziyech front three. That was very interchangeable. Having Lukaku, who's very, very strict and like resolute in where he needs to play. He can only play in one position, and he can only play in one type of way. It does not help Chelsea. It is his liability, and he needs to go because it's not good enough. And I really wanted him to succeed. I really wanted him to succeed because I love him as a player. I loved him as a player. Now, that love is slowly seeping out. And ever since that interview, like, I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans saying, we'll forgive you if you score goals. Okay, I don't necessarily agree. I will forget if you start scoring goals. Like, ever since that interview, if he had started going on a goal run and finished the season with 25 goals, we would all turn and be like, okay, good, you did your job. We might have, for me personally, I will forget, but I'll never forgive. Something like that. Something as blatant as saying, I don't want to be here, I want to go back to Inter. I can't forgive that, in my opinion, but if he starts scoring goals, I'll start to forget it. But Thomas Tuchel had a crack at him post-game and fair dues to him because he was like shit. Put it bluntly, his performance was absolutely shit. And yeah, I don't want to speak about Chelsea anymore. Southampton 2, Everton 0. And I mean, I still technically am speaking about Chelsea to an extent because Frank Lampard cannot seem to get this Everton team clicking. He's had 4 games, won 2, lost 2. One of the wins was in the cup. I've written here, could Everton go down? I don't think they will. I think they're good enough. They've got enough talent. It's just that thing of, if they do, it is going to be catastrophic for everyone involved. But I think they're good enough to stay up. And moving on to the featured game of the weekend, Tottenham 3, Manchester City 2. How overly bizarre was this? There's a lot of talk, obviously, about Harry Kane pre-game because of the whole City thing, and he didn't play the last time they played against each other. The deal was pretty much done until it wasn't. He played an absolutely outstanding game, and this has blown the title race wide open. Because Liverpool... Now, the thing is with the title race is we all assumed it was over because of City's dominance, right? We all just assumed that, City will win because they don't lose. They're starting to show a little bit of vulnerability. They're starting to show a little bit of uncertainty in their play. And Liverpool will never not. Liverpool love being the chasers, right? They love hunting. They don't really like being the hunted. They love being the hunting though. The hunters even. And they will not let up. Liverpool now, they know, they're 6 points behind with a game in hand. They win that game in hand, they're 3 points behind them. It's all to play for. He's seriously up for grabs. And I'm excited that we finally have a half-decent title race after Liverpool won it comfortably and City won it comfortably. I'm excited now that we can finally have a title race which is going to go down to the wire because Liverpool won't let up. Liverpool won't let up. And I'd said a couple of podcasts ago, I think City have won the league comfortably. How wrong was I? Nobody could have foreseen this because it's utterly bizarre. Utterly bizarre. But I don't know. It's this thing of do City have the bottle? I don't reckon they do, to be honest. I don't think they do. I think they've run out. I think they've run out of steam, and they were coasting. We're gonna say it now. As soon as the pressure's on, do they have the bottle and as Troy Denny would say, the cojones to maintain that just superb level? Because Liverpool will, I've said that, Liverpool will not let up. Yeah, they might lose, they might drop points, but they will not let up. They will go, they'll fight. City, I don't know. The title race is back on in a big way. Big way. Leeds 2, United 4. This was one of the purest games of football I've seen in a long time. I tweeted at the time. United got 2-0 up. City, Leeds come back 2-2 in the trice, and then United seal it off at Allen Road, pissing down rain. You could barely dribble. Tackles flying in left, right, and centre. 9 yellow cards, I think it was. Just the purest game of football. Football played to its just purest, realist form. Two clubs that hate each other. Tackles left, right, and centre. Wet, shit conditions. Goals flying in. Drama. Loved it. Loved watching this game. I loved it. And then the final game of the weekend, Wolves to Leicester 1. Bruno Lage with Wolves is producing something pretty good. Pretty good. Because I had them tipped to go down. And they've proved me wrong big time. They're fighting for European places. So, good on them. It's good to see Wolves do well. Moving on to Italy, Serie A. There's a title race to speak about, but before we do, I want to speak about Christian Volbarto. Now, for those who don't know, Christian Volbarto is a player, Australian footballer that got rejected from, I think, all 4 Sydney clubs. So Sydney Olympic, Western Sydney, Sydney FC, and another Sydney club. I definitely know we got rejected from the 2 A-League clubs. I'm not sure about the NPL teams. But he was subbed on for Roma under Jose Mourinho and scored another goal. I think he's already scored before. And there was a lot of talk about Twitter especially, about we shouldn't cap him yet. we shouldn't cap him yet. He shouldn't be in the national team so early. I so profoundly disagree with that because we have an 18, 19-year-old kid scoring goals for Roma under Jose Mourinho, and yet we're giving Mitchell Duke like half an hour at the end of a World Cup qualifier, or we're starting fucking like Tommy Juric played how many games for Australia, right? It's not the whole, oh, we shouldn't cap him yet because Italy aren't going to cap him, so don't worry about it. Or we shouldn't cap him yet because it's too early for him. Don't ignore that. Ignore those 2 points. He's just good enough to play for the Socceroos, so why wouldn't we cap him? And he's not going to be the saviour. He's not going to be the messiah that transforms his team into being some powerhouse of international football. But he's a good enough striker to be serviceable at national team level and can come on and have an impact. He shouldn't start every game. Probably shouldn't start any game. Maybe a friendly. But what's the harm? Okay, if he can't... Alright, what is genuinely the worst thing that happens? We cap him, he plays 2 games, he features 15 minutes in both games, doesn't really have an impact. What's the harm in that? Would Mitchell Duke do better than him? Probably not. With all due respect to you, Mitchell. He's not going to do better than... Like, Duke's not going to do that much better than him. And how many years does bloody Volbarto have on Mitchell Duke? And I'm not hating on Mitchell Duke. I actually think he's an okay player, but just an example, right? What's the worst that's going to happen? He plays 2 games, features half an hour over the 2 games, doesn't really have an impact. Okay, what? We have him capped. He can't play for Italy. That means we have him. Big deal. Like, literally big deal. Anyways. Australia, it's bordering on tall poppy syndrome because we have this brilliant foreign player who speaks fluent Italian, by the way. We have this ethnic Australian doing well overseas, and yet we don't want to cap him for the Socceroos. I'm not saying there's a hidden agenda behind it. I'm just throwing up the question for you guys to answer it. Moving on to the title race, because that's obviously what we need to talk about. Not a good day if you're in the top 3 of Italy. A brilliant day if you're a Napoli supporter, but they need to win. AC Milan drew 2-2 against Salernitana. I'm sorry if you're Italian and I butchered that name. But they drew 2-2 and Inter lost 2-0 to Sassuolo. That has really opened the title race for Napoli, because as it stands, AC Milan are on 56 points on played 26 games. Inter are in second place, 2 points behind Milan with 1 proper game in hand. And Napoli are 3 points behind AC Milan, 1 point behind Inter with a game to play tomorrow. Now, the permutations behind it is that if Napoli lose or draw against Caligari, butchered that again. If they draw or lose, the table stays the same. If they win, they go top. And if they win and go top, they'll be equal on points with AC Milan. They'll go top because of goal difference, and then Inter will be 2 points behind both AC and Napoli, with 1 proper game in hand, with a big gap on goal difference. So that is destined to go down to the wire. If I had to pick, I think I said this last week, I don't really want Inter to win it. I said this last week, I want AC or Napoli to win it. AC because of Giroud, Napoli because they haven't won it since bloody before Christ, right? So yeah, that's going to go down to the wire, so we'll keep tabs on that because that's going to be very interesting. Moving on to Germany, Bayern won 4-0 against a team that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce because I already butchered Italian names, so Germans are going to, not even going to try it. It's the team that looks like the Celtic badge, the green and the white. You know who I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm doing it to not butcher the name, right? They won 4-1, and then Dortmund smacked Mönchengladbach 6-0. So, and I think RB Leipzig won 6-1 as well against Hertha, I believe. So that puts Bayern 6 points clear. So we'll see how that develops. Of course, you want it to go down to the wire because of the drama purposes. We're going to fire through Spain and France. In La Liga, Atletico lost to Levante during the week, and many fans are very unhappy with many Atletico fans are very unhappy with the situation they're in, which is going to be interesting to see how that develops. And Barcelona beat Valencia 4-1, Aubameyang with a hat-trick. Now, that puts them equal fourth with Atletico, but they have a game in hand. So, you think Barcelona should get it, should get top four, and it's good to see Aubameyang get a hat-trick because you want to see the elite do well. League 1, PSG lost to Nantes. 3-1, but they'll still win the league, so who really cares? Now, moving on to the Champions League. And we'll do a couple of Europa League games as well. Manchester City 5, Sporting Lisbon 0. Yep. PSG beat Real Madrid 1-0, and a Real Madrid side that had about 3 shots the whole game. And I'm going to speak about it a little bit later on. This is what's wrong with modern football, and that's going to sound weird. But I'll tell you why a bit later on. But yeah, PSG dominated. Real Madrid didn't produce anything, didn't create anything, didn't pose any threat at all. And PSG were very unfortunate to only get a 1-0 win. Salzburg drew to Bayern, which was very, very interesting. I thought Bayern were going to dominate, but Salzburg, they're in the tie. They're really, really in the tie, and what a scalp that would be if they can knock over Bayern. What a scalp that would be. And then obviously Liverpool beat Inter 2-0. Professional performance from Liverpool. They struggled. They got the breakthrough and they sealed it off not long after. So it'll be very... They should get through. I think, obviously, City 5-0 over Sporting. Yeah. They'll get through. I think PSG will get through. I hope Salzburg get through, but I think Bayern will. At the Allianz, it would just be too much for Salzburg, I think. And Liverpool will win at Anfield quite comfortably, I think. Moving to Europa League, Barcelona 1, Napoli 1. I said a similar result. I said Napoli would win 2-1. But I think Napoli will go through. I really don't rate Barcelona at all. Not at all. I think Napoli will go through. And potentially not comfortably, but I reckon they'll go through and go through well. But yeah, Barcelona, what a fall from grace. Xavi has some work to do. And then Dortmund 2, Rangers 4. This shocked me. Unbelievable. I said I wanted Rangers to win, and they produced the goods for me, so thank you very much for that. But yeah, very, very good to see an upset. You want to see drama, and you want to see I want to see a Scottish team do well, whether that be Rangers or Celtic. I don't really care, or Aberdeen or Dundee United. I really don't care. I just want to see a Scottish team do well because it's a very underappreciated league. Yeah. So they're my thoughts on that. So Napoli will go through, and I want Rangers to go through as well. Now, moving on to the only segment on this podcast, because it's the only segment that I know can be bothered to do. Who went in two-footed? For those who don't know. Basically, just someone, something, a club, a player, an organisation, fans, whoever, who did something daft and who did something dumb during the week. And I'm really going against what this whole thing is about, because what I'm speaking about didn't happen in the week, but I really wanted to speak about it, and I thought this would be the perfect platform too. Now, who went in two-footed this week is UEFA. Now, not for anything like business related. It's the abolishment of the away goal rule. Now, The reason I say this is I cite the Real Madrid PSG game during the week. Now, PSG, Real Madrid went to Paris and played the most cowardice football I think I've ever seen Real Madrid play. It was disgusting. Disgusting. They had 2 shots the whole game. And the reason why is because if we can salvage a 1-0 loss or even a 0-0, like they almost did, we'll take them to the Bernabeu and win comfortably. Whereas when you have away goals, there's an incentive to win. We're going to see the Champions League and the Europa League become very, very boring very, very quickly because there's no away goal rule. When there's an away goal rule, every single team in every single game is incentivized to attack, is incentivized to go for it and to score goals. Now, if you're an away team in the first leg, what's the point of you attacking when you're not? When you can sit back, get a 0-0, take the other team to your home ground and win. Real Madrid tried it, and if they go through, it's a joke because they don't deserve to go through after that appalling performance because there was no away goal rule. And I'm going to take this back. I'm going to have a little bit of a rant, right? We take this back to the Super League, right? And this relates, I promise. Florentino Perez was like, no one 16 to 24-year-olds don't like the game anymore, or something along those lines. And yet he was one of the catalysts for this change. I'm literally baffled by this. You try to make football more exciting. That's what the Super League was about, was it not? Making football more exciting. And yet you take away a rule which promotes goal scoring and which promotes attacking football. What the this is borderline. This is the equivalent to saying, goals inside the 6-yard box count for 0.5. That's what it is. That's effectively what it's doing. I hate it passionately, and I really despise it. But I mean, what power do I have? Seriously, yeah, frustrating to say the least. Now, let's preview the week's football, shall we? Jesus Christ. The Champions League, of course, Chelsea versus Lille. I want to win. Just can we win 1-0? That's all I care about. I think Chelsea should go through. We'll be too strong for Lille. I don't see us. Especially in cup competitions, we seem to perform a little bit better. So I don't see why it would be any different to today. Oh, today, whenever we play them, Tuesday. Villarreal, Juventus. I reckon Villarreal might do this. I can see this being a draw. This is probably the one that screams draw to me the most out of the fixtures. I think Villarreal versus Juventus will be a draw. Oh, why not? Let's put 3-3 draw. I want to say that. Atletico versus United. Actually, no. We'll do Benfica versus Ajax first. Ajax will win. Ajax are so good. They've conceded 5 goals in the league all season and scored 70. They're so good. They'll get through and they'll win. Oh, they'll get through. Relax. They'll win. I think this one's away from home, so they'll go to Benfica and win and take them back to Amsterdam and win again. I'm pretty sure. That's what I think anyway. And we'll finish with Atletico versus Man United. I'm really conflicted. Atletico are not good this season, nor United. Yet they're 2 big clubs who will rise to the occasion. It's going to be a fiery game, put it that way. There's no doubt about it. It'll be a fiery game. And I reckon United will get the job done. I reckon United... I'm pretty sure it is at the Metropolitano. I think United will get it done. I think United will win 1-0 and take them back to Old Trafford and win again. I think United will get through. It's Ronaldo against Atletico, right? There's only one way that ends. And I just think... It's more the fact that I don't rate Atletico. But in that saying, United do have quality that will win it for them. And then, Benfica I actually already spoke about. Now, the second leg of all Europa League games, I already spoke about those, of the key ones anyway. I think Olympiacos are playing Atalanta. and as a Olympiacos supporter, as an Olympiacos supporter, in massive quotation marks, I want to see them do well. So hopefully they can turn that around in the second leg. But there is a cup final, League Cup final, Chelsea versus Liverpool. I'm a Chelsea supporter. My brother's a Liverpool supporter, so that's going to be a fun time in their household. I really want to win. No shit. But I just have this unwavering confidence in cup games that is so opposite to league games. Like, Chelsea play shit unless we're playing Spurs or in a cup. Other than that, I say that, and yet we bloody nearly drew against Plymouth. But, like, we just have this cup football gene, and it's gonna be a good game, to say the absolute least, because Liverpool won't want to not win a cup. Like, this for Liverpool's success and elite nature of their team, they've only won 2 cups or 2 trophies, or 3. Sorry, they've only won 3 trophies, and they haven't won an FA Cup. They haven't won a League Cup, and as much as the League Cup means nothing, and as soon as the game's over, I'll either be upset for 2 minutes or happy for 15 and then not really care. Or maybe not, but like, it's happening at 3:30 in the morning. I'll watch the game. I'll be either happy or sad when I go to bed. I'll wake up, and if I'm happy, great, and I'll wake up if we lose, and I won't really care, right? Because it's the League Cup. But Liverpool need to win a cup. I think people are underestimating how badly they need to win a cup, because they've only won a Champions League, Prem, and Club World Cup. And as much as that is very good, to really establish yourself as the best team, you need to win domestic competitions. And no wonder why City have won how many FA Cups, how many League Cups, etc. Right? Or have they won an FA Cup? I don't even know if City have won an FA Cup, like this City team. Anyway, they've definitely won League Cups. So, yeah, they need to. Liverpool need to win this more than Chelsea do, in my opinion. But yeah, it's gonna be a good game. Going to be fiery. Obviously, massive rivalry between the two teams. This was Chelsea's first trophy under Roman Abramovich, the League Cup. I think Drogba might have scored in that match. I know John Anarisa scored in like the first 2 minutes or something back in 2005 when I was an infant, or 2004 even. I know John Anarisa scored in that game. Maybe Matthias Kezman scored in that game. That's a blast from the past, I'll tell you what. But yeah, Liverpool need to win more than Chelsea do, but I think Chelsea will do it. I have this unwavering confidence with us in cup games, so yeah. But that's all for the football this week. There's nothing more I need to add. I hope the week treats you well. I hope the week treats you well. Stay safe. Be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at 2 Tackle Pod at 2 Tackle Podcast, and it will come up. Thank you all very much for listening. As always, speak to you guys in a week. Stay well, stay safe. See you guys. Bye.